Live? We're live.
I'm here.
There we go. There you go. There's Ron. March 13th at 1:32 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order, Johnson County Solid Waste Management.
All right.
First thing on the agenda is roll call.
Yes, sir. Kevin Walls,
Present.
Ron West,
Present.
Brian Baird,
Here.
David Lexi,
Present.
Don Graham,
Present.
John Myers, Mark Myers. Sir, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Myers twins are absent.
Meyer twins are absent. First thing, the approval of the minutes from January 9th meeting. If I had a chance to review and look at those.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Sorry. take it to
Mr.
you.
Chairman, do we typically also approve the Board of Finance minutes at this meeting and we have them on record?
They've
I think
always
we
been
do.
included. We've not had two separate motions in the past.
That is so funny, Lynn. I had that same exact question
Yeah.
to Carla.
I don't think it would hurt us to just do a separate motion including those. I mean, we certainly want to call a special meeting for that, so.
Okay.
If that's acceptable to you, sir.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the annual finance board meeting.
Second.
First and the second. We'll ask if there's any discussion on that.
Ms. Gray?
Yes.
with Mr. West joining us via Zoom. Do I need to do a roll call vote?
Yes, you
Name by name?
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I need to do a roll call vote. We will do the first one for the minutes for the meeting, and then I'll do a separate one for the minutes for the finance meeting, unless I can do that together, Ms. Gray.
You can do it together.
All right, thank you. Kevin Walls,
Yeah,
Ron West,
Yes.
Brian Baird,
Yay.
David Lexi,
Yay.
and Don Graham.
Yay.
All right, thank you.
okay. So we got that taken care of. Next thing on the agenda, the treasurer's report. Still gotta make a comment. I can see Angela Coy on.
Good afternoon.
Yes. We thought it was different. That's surprise for that.
You have in your packet our check register from January the 6th through March the 10th. I have all of the claims here. If anyone has any questions concerning any particular claim. If not, if I could please request approval of our claim.
I always have a couple for Mr. Sherman. The first one is Amazon Capital Services. One
Good
claim
catch,
was,
Ron.
huh?
That's Amazon's new bank, so that's their credit card now. So we
Oh.
don't have the Amazon anymore. That took the place of our Amazon.
You say it was credit card?
Yes, that was our Amazon charges that we had when we ordered things from Amazon. Now that goes to the Amazon credit facility.
Pat, if you can turn the microphone up more toward your, he's
This
not
way.
hearing you very well.
Can you hear me?
So,
Yeah.
So,
So we have invoices.
okay,
now.
so we don't know what those charges are for, right?
Sure,
We just see the accumulation of them.
I have them here.
I might be curious when I get back to look at those. I also have Aspire Economic Development for $420. I was curious why we would be a part of Aspire, this type of organization.
I think we've always been a member of Aspire. That's just a membership.
Yeah, I know it is, but I was just curious as to why. Or
Sure.
maybe Jesse can answer that. And then you had one, Elan Financial Services for $945.95.
Yeah, yes. That's a new credit card as well. Alon is the provider for that credit card service.
And then you had a card member service, which that's typically a credit card for $1,089.40. Is that a
Right.
credit card also?
Yes,
So
I
how many credit cards do you have?
think we have two now.
Well, we have
Good.
Amazon converted
Right.
to a credit card instead of kind of their purchase order system. And then Verizon would have been paid in 1 month, Alon the next month, but it's the same card, they just changed names.
Didn't we discuss this at
Horizon
the-
changed their credit card provider service to Elan. That's a major credit card service provider.
Yeah, okay,
Our member services this month, it's
Yeah.
called Elan. It's the same account.
all right, okay.
Do you want me to answer about Aspire? Can he hear me? Do I need to-
Yeah, look, why don't you stand?
Commissioner West, actually, especially this year, our membership to Aspire, in my opinion, has paid back in spades. They're actually very excellent to us. They try and give us a little bit extra benefit. As a matter of fact, at one time, Christian even asked if he could donate back $50 to us because he really does appreciate all our services and he understands the cost to the district. But we specifically this year, I was asked by Senator Walker, based off of a conversation we had, to come testify in regards to recycling and changes. And so for us, being able to reach out to all the legislators in one area, which happens quite a bit with Aspire, it is hugely beneficial because we're not only hitting those that are necessarily directly just in Johnson County, but certainly those that are Marion County and Morgan County. And so it helps us to be able to vocalize why the district is so important and what we do and how we can also help the state. So again, he called me 2 days later and asked me to testify on a bill just a day later, which was a whole other crazy thing. But yeah, so that is why we are a part of Aspire, is to make sure that we are still certainly being seen and heard. And it helps us to get information out to the public as well, because it's a free way for us to be able to reach out to everybody that's a part of that community. So although we can't necessarily directly maybe help that business, we can help them internally through their people, through education, and certainly marketing and media for us.
So those communications are just amongst Aspire members?
Yeah, it goes out. I mean, yeah. Yes, I mean, Aspire, but also goes out to, we put it in their community networks and all those things, so it goes on their website. So when we have shredding events and anything, we put all of that on their website so that people can get that information. And of course, they have a much broader reach than we do. It's just one of our many ways of using that as a marketing tool.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions on, has the transition went well between Ray's and Waste Management Corporation?
No, I'd be happy to talk about that during my, if you want to talk about it now.
Oh, you can wait, if you're gonna,
Oh, no, but I'm happy to.
I mean, I just got some charges on here, a couple from Waste Management, a couple from Ray's, about the same amount.
Yes, so our blessing right
Three on
now,
there.
yeah, our blessing right now is that currently we are being charged the same amount. The problem is we also were not picked up for 2.5 months, so we really shouldn't have been charged those amounts. So Carla has been diligently working on finding out when we were actually picked up, what services we have received. We also were being charged for something that we hadn't been charged for under Ray's. And so that's one of the bins that was going on down in Trafalgar that had been left over from the move from Sarah Beth Drive Road to the transfer station. And so we are working on ensuring that that bin is picked up and that we have not been charged for that bin for the past 2.5 months. So our direct pickup at the recycling center itself has been fantastic. The rest of them have been very hit or miss. We've had to rely on whether it be somebody from the street department telling us if something's been picked up, the transfer station, which they are seeing, they lost their director. And so we're kind of trying to reach out to whomever to find out when they're actually being picked up so that we are not paying for bills that we are not being serviced on.
Thank you. Everybody understand all that?
Mhm.
Yeah, Don.
Robert Jesse's the gentleman you need to speak with now.
Okay. who is it?
Robert Jesse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions for Mr. Sherman? I think he's got more this time on, is this your last one? Or we just
Well, I
filling it
don't
up for you?
Maybe the last one should have been my last one. That's fine. Have to answer.
Look for a motion from the board.
I'll move to approve check registers, auto pay deductions and claims. as
Second,
presented.
second.
Got first and a second. We've had quite a bit of discussion on it, so I don't know if there's any more. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we need-
Opposed?
I think we need to roll.
And I,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys
Oh, I'm
can do
sorry.
that.
I keep,
Yeah.
I know. It's a little bit different. I need to go ahead and do the roll call. Kevin Walls.
yeah,
Ron West,
Yes,
Brian Baird,
Aye.
David Lexi,
Aye.
and Don Graham.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have a unanimous approval of that, sir.
That's all I have. You have questions?
I think they've been answered.
Thank you.
All right, CAC committee.
We will be having our first meeting in April, but I do want to tell you, we are working with Community Corrections, and I'll just this is kind of part of my update, but I'll put it under the CAC committee. Saw that opportunity in the newspaper where they were talking about trying to get people more involved and engaged in their community, and we saw that as a great way to be able to insert more cleanups directly within cities where maybe they are walking by, i.e. the Dollar Generals, gas stations, and Walmarts of the world, and not so much just the parks. And so we are going to work with Community Corrections on that. And so they actually went through CAC. If you remember, a year and a half ago, we were talking about maybe different ways to get out into the community and spread money, whether it be spread money, that sounds funny, share the opportunity of maybe receiving some grant funds for small community programs that maybe would have a big impact. And so we were talking about schools and different organizations. So they reached out to us when we were talking about this because they have been doing cleanups. And they need some, just making sure they have the gloves and the grippers and the different things. And so we are going to give them a $500 grant to be able to ensure that they can get those materials so that they can handle the material that they're picking up safely. And if you've been following along at all of what they've been doing at probation and community corrections, they've really been doing a lot more, including recycling, which we're really excited about. So, and that's one of the ways we are learning if our bin is being picked up or not too. So it's kind of helping us. But we are also going directly there and picking up from them their cardboard. So really they're doing a lot more, but my point being that the CAC is going to offer them that grant because it is a great opportunity and a great way to give back to the community and know that it's being used in such a manner that we're seeing benefit from it. So.
Okay, good. Might as well stay there.
Yep.
We'll just go to director's report.
All right, as I said, I don't want to say it too quietly, but I will put it in the minutes. We are fully staffed right now. We've had the opportunity for some early graduation people to come in, and we have another person who is actually graduating from Ivy Tech who intends to stay on and wants more hours. So we're really excited for that opportunity, at least as long as it will last. So we right now are doing pretty good. We're also going into that season of busyness and clean out. And so the Talks Box has been reopened for the season. We already have our Saturday dates for April set up for shredding. We're working with Greenwood to have a rain barrel class. We are back in the high school in Franklin to work on with their environmental team for the week of, or it'll actually be the week after Earth Day. But we also love that opportunity because it really does open us up to kind of higher learning and getting people more excited about something that, they can use every day because a lot of them are juniors and seniors and it's something that they're thinking about as they move on. So we get really excited about that opportunity. We're thrilled that we got called back. We do have someone helping us out with education right now. I think I mentioned Jessica Norcross last time. So she is actually doing some of the programs that have been requested from the elementary schools. There have been one or two. So we went ahead and just said, go ahead and see where we can fill that niche through that. Just because we don't have the regular programming set up. We just, with the way our staff is, it's just not possible, but it's great to be able to give them that opportunity through Jessica. We are also working with her on that program. But the most exciting thing for us has been, we put together, well, recently anyways, we put together the contractors workshop for the MS4s. And they normally have like 10 people. We had 50 plus sign up and we had 35 show up. BAMX was there and really talked about water impacts and are changing in our climate and what's happening with the fact that we are actually seeing more water in Indiana and what that means as we're building and constructing buildings. And so, which was a completely different direction for most of these contractors, and they really enjoyed it. IDEM came and spoke about some of the new rules. So we are hoping to offer that type of programming as our piece of education for the MS4s, because that's where our talents lie. And let's think outside the box. Let's get more people in to understand these things, to be able to help our communities so that they know who to go to, so that they understand why we have these permits in place and why they have to jump through the hoops that they see they have to jump through. And so we're going to next year also really focus on reaching out to the home association people, so that they can, send in their president or send in a board representative, because they really are the eyes right there, especially as things are getting ready to build, and to understand. And we are hoping that maybe we'll get some different community planning people. We really did just throw this together in 6 weeks, so it really was a boon for 6 weeks. But knowing what we're looking at and making changes now and getting information and feedback, we're really excited. And we use the Johnson County Museum, and what a great, awesome space for that type of program. I mean, people were excited to be there, and it had everything available. So that was really cool too. Kind of a different space for us.
Hey, Jesse.
So yeah, we've actually for our winter, which is normally pretty quiet, we've actually had a lot going on. As you are also probably aware, I don't know if you've heard, but there was a train derailment in Ohio, and the materials were not coming to Greenwood, as everybody got a little concerned about, even though we don't have any place for them to go in Greenwood. I don't know, we got a lot of questions about that. It was Greencastle. And we have, of course, visited that hazardous waste facility many times. Don't get me started about people not knowing what is around them before they speak, but we are offering an opportunity to all of the, it is not a public opportunity. It is an opportunity to EMA, first responders, of course, all our government officials, to hear from one of the local people that happens to be a national expert on chemical plastics. On Friday, we're doing a lunch and learn from 11:30 to 1. I sit on a board with Calvin, and so he was happy to provide this for free, which is awesome. And we so far have 55 people set up for this Zoom. Each of you should have information in your packet. It has already gone out to Stephanie. It has gone out to Betsy, and all of the MS4s as well. So, and if there's somebody else that you want me to get the information to, I'm happy to provide that information, or feel free to pass it along. We just ask that it doesn't go out to JoQ public, because this is more about learning what was actually on that train, and also learning why was it on the train? What are we using it for, and how can we maybe make changes in the future? So, we're really excited about that opportunity. That just has come together very quickly. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions on that.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
If you could go back to your comments on that session you had on the water, right in the beginning, you said something about Indiana and the water. I didn't catch that on that.
Yeah, so Indiana already had a high water table, as we all know, but our water table has increased by inches over the past 25 years. So our water table is actually higher than it has been. And if you want, Ron, I can get that exact measurement to you. I'm sure they'd be happy to provide that. But that obviously has a huge impact when we're talking about basements, and also when we're talking about cement. You know, when we talk about, okay, we put down all the cement in these neighborhoods, well, we're talking water runoff. Well, where's it going to? The absorption into land becomes very difficult. So what does that look like? How can we maybe make changes as we're allowing these developments to come in, as we're talking about runoff, to move forward?
Yeah, if you could forward some of that to me, it'd be great.
Sure, absolutely. Actually, I have the whole presentation. I'd be happy to just forward it to you, and I just have to reach out to Ty to get it. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Some of that water, you might reach out to the surveyor, Mr. Cantwell.
Oh, yeah. No
Because
problem.
we're really deep into a lot of legal drains right now.
Yeah.
So. it
Okay,
might
I'll
be-
send that to him too.
It might be worth just talking to him about it.
Sure.
So.
Mhm.
Because we kind of monitor who puts what in where from the surveyor's side. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot going on that day, so they weren't able to come
Yeah.
to the meeting.
okay, any other questions for Jesse?
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Legal report, Miss Lynn.
Well, thank you, sir. I think Carla forwarded to you, we've actually gotten a couple of notices from Greenwood regarding their amendment to their TIF district. We also received a notice that I just had on my table when I got here today from Greenwood declaring a certain area to be an ERA, economic revitalization area. I'm sure you all are familiar with those in your own roles for your various municipalities or the county. Then we also received today a Whiteland Redevelopment Commission notice of a public hearing on their removing certain parcels from their allocation area. In the past, these notices have just been sent to us as a taxing entity, like every other taxing entity is noticed, and they're required to be notified. You have never instructed me to go to meetings or do anything or anything like that, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware that we had received them. If you want me to take any action, I will. I've never found traditionally that it makes much difference, but I'm certainly happy to do whatever you request of me within reason to do that. But I don't know that would impact us given the way our tax structure is set anyway. But I wanted you to be aware of that.
Work having comments on that?
The other thing, if I might, this might segue into what you, Mr. Chairman, might know. As you know, at our last meeting, I said we were all set for closing. We are now the owners of the property. We did close on that without any problems whatsoever, knock on wood. And so we technically own it. The next step, because it will be here very quickly, is to consider what we are going to do with it in terms of construction and building and financing and funding. The chairman has taken the lead in terms of getting some ideas about what thing will happen. And I wanted to bring to the board that I think there are local lending institutions who would be interested in financing the project as opposed to bonding. You may question my sanity when I say this to you, but I'm not sure why we would want to spend $40,000 to $50,000 of soft costs on bonds if there are some local institutions that might be willing to finance it, given the fact that we own the real estate already and the fact that we're pretty financially solvent. So I know that one of those banks that's reached out and said, we'd be interested in talking with you is Mutual Savings Bank. And again, anytime you do a bond, you're going to run into soft cost of based on the percentage of what the bond amount is, that it's always made me feel, why are we doing that if we have another alternative? Because it's just soft cost, $40,000 or $50,000. One of those institutions, the reason I bring it to your attention is Mutual Savings Bank here in Franklin, that I think has relationships with both the city and the county. I am on their board of directors, so I do not think ethically it would be appropriate for me to give you any opinion about any proposal that they would come to you about, but you would certainly be entitled to a legal opinion. So my thoughts, when I've had conflicts in other areas, is that Bill Barrett has always been willing to sub in, and those of us that do this kind of work, we sub for each other all the time. I've gone to Greenwood and subbed on things. He's come to Franklin and subbed on things, and various attorneys. But obviously, it's ultimately your call. I just don't think it ethically appropriate for me, since I'm on the board of directors. I will tell you, being on the board of directors, I make no money off of the deals, but it still would look appropriate. I don't think so. If you decide to go that route, or if you have another attorney you wish me to reach out to, it would be, I would suppose it would be under the same hourly rate if I could find someone who would do it under the hourly rate that I do. But it might be worth you investigating that if you wanted to have separate. We already have our financial planner here, Mr. Sherman, who used to be on a bank, but he is no longer on the board of directors. So he would be available also to assist any legal counsel to give you an advice on that. But I just want to give you a heads up. If you're gonna go that route, we might need to have somebody else pinch hit on that one single subject.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, sir.
Lynn,
Yes, sir.
if we were to go to a financial institution, is there a requirement that we issue an RFP or a bid process for that?
I don't think on the financing, like you do on the bonding, but again, you could potentially do it, but there isn't. Now, obviously on your your contracting and things like that, you absolutely have to, but you could do an RFP if you wanted to. And you certainly have, what I have been seeing, just wearing the other hat in the banking industry, I think with the changing in interest environments, I think a lot of lending institutions are willing to do things before that they may not have been doing because they'll be competitive on the bond market. So they'll give you good rates or better rates. So, but it would certainly be something that you may wish to, quite frankly, bid if you wanted to, or at least.
I
reach out
think
to
it would
two
be
or three.
prudent. I think it would be prudent. I mean, obviously, if we didn't do that, that might be suspect of favoritism or something of that nature, given our relationship with not only Mutual Bank, but some of the officers there and the board members and that.
Correct. And that's why I think you would want legal counsel to, I answered your question truthfully, but you would want legal counsel also to confirm that. And I think a separate legal counsel would do that. But I think for the good of the district, we just always just traditionally immediately talk about bonds. And I just don't, given our circumstance here, I don't know that why we'd want to spend that money on lawyers. This is on, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, I would take some input from the board on this. How do you want to proceed? Because the first thing we're gonna have to do is have the money to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
So do we want to retain, I know Bill Barrett is a phenomenal attorney. Does anybody have any other suggestions or?
I would recommend Bill Barrett's.
I'm fine with Bill Barrett.
If that's okay, I would reach out to him and explain to him what my hourly rate, what is my hourly rate with you guys?
75.
It seems like it, but 135.
I think,
You might have
I
to.
was just trying. I was shooting.
I think that's about what Bill is for us.
I think he's 160.
He did raise.
I think he's on 160. Professionally, that's really
Yeah.
reasonable. I mean, he and I are both at 300, but we do this often, so I think he would be willing to do it if that's an acceptable range for you folks. And we never exceed our legal budget even close, so I'm certain it won't have any significant impact. And he would be then available to discuss these kinds of issues.
Okay. Ron, you were talking about an RFP for the financing.
Yeah. I don't know that we need an attorney even to do that. I mean,
Tell us about-
Jesse could contact 4 or 5 of the banks in the area or whatever and
Did you want
put them on notice that we're seeking funding for this particular project. And if they have an interest in looking at it, let them respond.
Ron, I think in terms of how you actually structure the request for proposal, Jesse might want somebody. She reaches out to me frequently to run things by, so she might want to have somebody available to do it. And I don't think Bill would be unreasonable in terms of being accessible. I don't mean to speak for Jesse, but she's standing over here with her eyes wide.
Well, this is different than just hey,
Yeah.
we need a mailer.
Right.
I mean,
Well, and as you know, Ron, when you do request proposals, you want to make sure your criteria is set in terms of what you're actually requesting so that you're comparing apples to apples to apples to apples.
I think we'd be really talking about more of a request for a quote, would we
Yeah.
not? RFQ.
Well, typically in an RFP, you're not too specific. Basically, in this case, it would be, we own this parcel of land. We're wanting to build this size building and the cost on it's going to be X and we need to finance Y. I mean, there's nothing beyond that really that I think that you would put, what else would you put in an RFP? Once you get respondents, then you get more into the legalese of the situation and how you're going to move forward with one institution or another. But she could just pick up the phone and call them as far as that goes.
Well, that could be your request too. You don't have to do all that in writing, go through that legal process.
I just think
She can
she,
get those numbers over the phone.
right, but she's gonna want somebody to talk to about it, and it shouldn't be me.
No, I understand.
Yeah, I'm saying just you reach out to the however many lending institutions you want to. They'll get back to you. Yeah, we're interested in the project. We understand this is the amount that you're looking for, and we'd be happy to talk to you about it. And then maybe you would even have some meetings with them. But if you then at some point, if you wanted to formalize it, and it's where you're getting a hard commitment from those people, yeah, then you would bring in Bill Barrett, and he would compose something of a legal nature, more
We set
whatever.
up, you know, the committee.
Typically on something like this,
Sit down and write
I know when I was involved with, on the private side, trying to finance a government facility, it was, I couldn't do it because a lending institution can't mortgage or lien against government property. At least back then they couldn't. We had to come up with some creative ideas. So that might be a question that somebody needs to answer here. Would this building be considered owned by a government entity? I think it probably would be. In that case, it might put some restrictions on financing on the private side.
Well, I think, and again, I don't want to get into the other hat, because some things have changed. But I think that would be the reason maybe to have Bill at least available to answer questions, because I think there have been some changes with regard to what you're actually pledging on your tax warrants as opposed to the actual building itself. So, but there may be some questions back from some financial institutions about that are maybe a little different than what Jesse is used to asking. Because there are some nuances to what they could actually do before they go to a formal proposal.
I'm not opposed to using Bill. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think the initial actions could be very simple in the process.
Ron, I'd like to see, I mean, the board, you know, we had that committee that looked at all this stuff. Invite Mr. Barrett into one of these meetings and formulate a question. And if you want Jesse to go start calling ABC Bank, you know, she can do that, or we can have Bill send a letter out to these banks. I think that would be the more professional way to do it, because I think you're going to end up helter skelter if you do it any other way. It's going to end up all over the board. They're not going to know nobody knows what Y is right now, and that's the building cost.
Yeah.
You know,
If you don't know what Y is, you can't be reaching out to anybody anyway.
that's what we won't do the project.
Well, you gotta get some quotes, I would think. I mean, how much you gonna borrow?
Yeah, you need to know what Y is.
We can square up some, I mean, I can run some square footage. You're going to be in a range. And we've already got pretty much a range. What we've talked about is square footage and that. So, I mean, if you just want Jesse to start calling banks and say, hey, you want to give us a number? Nothing against Jesse, but I don't know if she's qualified to receive that and understand what they're saying. And Bill might be a little bit better. Or if you want to come back and take over that when you get back from Florida, man, be more than willing to let you tackle that one.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be back Wednesday. I'll call a few of them. Well, you know, here's the thing, and the connections are already there through our treasurer. And we have a number of banks that the county does a lot of business with on a huge scale. And those would be the primary banks that I would reach out to in the beginning because of our current relationship with them. All I'm trying to say is that we need to look at more than just one institution if we're going to try to finance it privately.
Yeah. So go ahead.
See a hand there. If you want me to do it, I'll do it when I get back.
Ron, when you get back, you might get with Jesse and we'll just sit down with this committee and we'll look at it and we'll put a list together so everybody has the
You should have
same
something
criteria.
Without
Yeah,
question.
So
Yeah.
saying this to this one, and this one's asking for this or that,
Yeah.
so we'll work that out.
You most
So-
certainly should have it in writing.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
that's
So
it. We just need to come up with the why before the call.
we'll get you close to what,
Yeah, good.
okay?
I don't
Anybody else
have
want to talk
anything.
about that anymore?
I don't have
Thanks for
anything
bringing
further.
that up, man.
Well, but
I know.
you're gonna be surprised how quickly 2.5 years flies by, or
Well,
less.
and
Yeah.
hopefully, since
It's the next on the agenda. I did speak to IDEM about, the building and the opportunity and for grants and so forth. And they very much suggested that we move forward with, even if we just have the plan and we do have the financing, that we move forward with the ability to ask for grant dollars because we are on the way. So not waiting until we're truly digging in the dirt, because they should be, their request should be coming out again, or excuse me, in September, and I think they award in October. So we, again, should have the availability of some grant funds to help with this, I would think, given the fact that we're going to increase our footprint for the ability to recycling within our community.
Okay. That will be talked about when Ron gets back and we'll all sit down and go through it. As solid waste members, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, I think we covered the building options.
I think pretty well.
I think it was pretty well beat up. Unless anybody else wants to add anything.
Look at me.
I'm just canvassing the room.
I scooted back from the microphone. I'm standing up.
All right, new business. Next meeting is May 8th, 2023 at 1:30 PM. I got a problem with that? Good. Mark it on your calendars. Any public comment?
we do have, I don't know if they want to speak publicly, but we do have some new faces in the room. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello,
How
my
you
name's
doing?
Dwayne Willoughby of Rumpke Waste and Recycling. Our region has decided to spend a lot of time at the solid waste district meetings throughout southern Indiana. I got lucky and chose you all. My associate over here, Mike Mosier, is the district operations manager. We're just here to get to know you all and see how Rumpke Waste and Recycling can help you guys in your trash needs.
Okay. I appreciate that very much.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Beat me to the punch. We have a first and a second. We are adjourned. You want Paul?
You guys.
Bye, Ron.